I want to go to Eric and talk a little bit about this story that Amy reported at the top, which is this Egyptian Nazi party. Yeah. Here in America, the press goes crazy about Nazis that might be in the Tea Party when I've never seen a Nazi before. But when there's an actual formation of the Nazi party, they say nothing. Tell me the background.
Well, look, the Egyptian Nazi Party they have some long-time roots in Egypt, and and they're very vocal. Now, they say they don't want to kill all Jews, even though they are the Nazi Party, but they've had a long, long history in Egypt.
Just a second. Nani, when you hear this, because you were there,
yeah.
When you hear this, how insulting is that we're in the Nazi Party,
yeah.
We believe the master race is Egyptian, but we don't want to kill all the Jews?
Unfortunately, Egypt and the Muslim world, the Arab world, is so hateful of Jews. It's unbelievable. It's almost synonymous of being a good Muslim. That's because I grew up watching mosques, listening to the Friday prayers, Glenn, and all of it is about hate, total, pure hatred. Cursing is very common in the mosques, and the preacher ends his sermon always with, "May God destroy the Jews and the infidels and the enemies of Allah. May their children be orphaned. May their women be widowed." And it's just, I used to watch this as a child, as a young woman, and believe it or not, I never knew it was bad. When you grow up in such hatred, you really think it's normal and holy.
So so that's over in Egypt. Now tell me about the Egyptian Nazi Party leader here in America.
Well, this guy was Brotherhood. He's more of a Brotherhood guy, Salah Sultan, Muslim Brotherhood guy from Egypt. He was a mainstay in the Muslim community in Columbus, Ohio, on the heartland, Glenn. For years, he lived here. I was at his house, very nice suburb of Columbus, Ohio. Spoke at Islamic schools there.
Did you know who he was when you were at his house?
Yes, I did. I didn't knock. A fixture in Columbus's Muslim community, at the schools, at the largest mosque in the Columbus area. He was mainstream, met with local community leaders, interfaith dialogue with Jews and Christians. He was mainstream, and Glenn, he is a global Muslim Brotherhood operative who the other day we featured on The Blaze called for death to all Jews who enter Egypt. He was here in America, Brotherhood through and through.
Was he saying that kind of stuff when he was here?
Well, not on U.S. soil publicly like he is now. Behind closed doors, of course. In the mosques, of course. But then in 2007, 2008, became more vocal. Long story short, appeared on Saudi television and blamed 9/11 on the Jews. That was the beginning of the end here for him in America. Now he's in Bahrain. Now he's back in Egypt, so he's around the Middle East. But he was here for years. Mainstream guy.
What does it say to you, Nani, that everybody's starting to say these things out loud anywhere and they don't care?
But it's very common in the Muslim world. They curse the Jews, go kill them, and you wonder why there are thousands of Muslim men who are ready to go kill themselves just to kill Jews. This is the normal, that's why we have terrorists.
Let me play the sound bite in case you missed it. Here it is.
ويقتلون أبناءنا. سنعيد الفتوى التي قلناها في مؤتمر جامعة القاهرة سنة 94 بعد قتل 60 وهم ساجدون في الحرم الإبراهيمي، وما قتل عندنا من المصريين منذ المعاهدة إلى الآن يزيدون عن 140 قتيلا قتل عمد من الصهاينة. أقول في مقابل ذلك، قلت يومها يجب أن يقتل أي صهيوني سائح أو غيره يدخل إلى الكيان إلى مصر. لا نقتل سائحا من أي بلد. نحن نقول الفتوى مخصوصة بهؤلاء الصهاينة الذين دمروا أرضنا وبلادنا وقتلوا أبناءنا وأسالوا دماءنا على أرضنا.
So who does that involve? Can I go to Egypt? I was just in Egypt. Could I walk in Egypt now?
No, you cannot. I mean, a few months ago, you would have been able to walk in Egypt. Honestly, in December 2010, if you would have told me about the caliphate, I would have said, I don't think so, no way. That's how quickly things have moved. Very interesting.
You didn't watch my show then.
No. Well, that was January. We started talking about, come on. But Salah Sultan, a little interesting side note here, Glenn, actually agreed to an interview with me, the guy we just saw, over email. But once he found out who I was, I guess he Googled my name. He kind of backed off. Same with several Hizb ut-Tahrir leaders.
Why is it Hizb ut-Tahrir based in Chicago?
The key thing about that Chicago base is that that city, for years and years, has been a base, has been a hub for radical Islam. Massive Hamas support infrastructure there. Many arrests there, Glenn, of Hamas supporters, Hamas leaders in and around the Chicago area.
Any doubt that the president doesn't know this?
Of course he knows. Of course, he was there for 20 years. Of course he knows about it. He knows the radicalism in Chicago's community. Glenn, I was there last year investigating another case in a Pakistani neighborhood in North Chicago. Long story short, these guys were trying to fund the Taliban, work with the Taliban. One of them was involved in the Mumbai attacks. Went to the neighborhood in North Chicago. Honestly, felt like I was in Afghanistan. The men were in Taliban-style garb, a very radicalized area. This is in the heart of Chicago.
The Coptic Christians, let's start with the Coptic Christians in Egypt.
It's an awful situation. I think since the revolution started, there's about 190,000 Coptic Christians who left the country, ran away, all over the world. I'm not sure exactly, but there is also the problem of people who are leaving Islam in Egypt, who are contacting me, pleading with me, how can we come to America? Because if my family just sees my Bible that I'm hiding under my bed, they will kill me. And
are the moderate Muslims here in America worried?
Worried about
what's going on, seeing what's happening over.
Unfortunately, the moderate Muslims, or those who don't like to do violence, Muslims who don't like violence, they are silent. They are silent, and that is something that they're silent against what's happening to the killing of apostates. They're silent about the stoning of women that's happening in the name of Islam. All of this is happening in the name of Islam. Only Zoji Jasser, one or two Muslims in America who are speaking, and they are still considering themselves Muslims.
You know who controls the conversation in the Muslim community in America? The Muslim Brotherhood. That's not just me saying that. The Muslim Brotherhood's own documents, uncovered by our FBI, named several leading American Muslim groups you see on CNN, New York Times, quoted as moderates. The Brotherhood themselves named these groups as, quote, friends of our organizations. These are our people. Now, our government has these documents. These are Brotherhood documents, believe it or not, Glenn, captured 10 minutes from the White House in Northern Virginia back in 2004. The Muslim Brotherhood blueprint for America. They lay it all out. They name their allies. Imagine if we had this during World War II, the Nazi blueprint. We have the Brotherhood's blueprint. Our government has it in their possession. Naming groups like these.
You've seen it. You've seen it.
It's readily available online, anywhere. We should go through it more.
Yeah, we should.
The Islamic Society of North America, ISNA. Now, the president of ISNA had a front row seat at President Obama's iftar dinner back in August. Yet he is Muslim Brotherhood. Again, it's not just me saying it.
But they're saying Muslim Brotherhood's not a problem. I've read in the Center for American Progress, and George Soros has paid for this report. So you know it's trustworthy. Yeah. That's hate-mongering speech from you.
They don't believe the Brotherhood is a threat. They truly don't believe it. They believe they can use the Brotherhood as a counterweight to Al-Qaeda.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that our government really doesn't, they really don't think?
I think some people in America, the leadership, are so arrogant. They really believe that, oh, these groups are never going to harm America. America is too big to be harmed. But they don't know that in the 7th century, there was a superpower, and it was a Christian nation called Egypt. And it was not an Arab country. And it was invaded by a much smaller, much less important civilization from the Arabian Peninsula. They came in with their sword. They changed the language of Egypt by force to Arabic and converted the churches into mosques by force. And Egypt never saw its glory days again. It can happen to superpowers. And I want to tell people in America who look at all these groups as so what, so what, so what. And all these groups are very similar. They all have the same objective, which is the caliphate, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood, whether it's Hizb ut-Tahrir, or all of them. They want to control the world under Islam, even if they don't get a hold of the American government, which is could not happen in the immediate future. But they can start very soon with subversive activities, with Muslim citizens who were born here, with propaganda against the government. We could very soon see a Chechnya-style movement in America, for a separatist movement. We are discriminated against in America, and
they're already saying that, and you have that. I mean, quite honestly, you have that being said now, right just down the street here on Wall Street.
And look at Europe, the blueprint Western Europe.
Exactly right. Yeah. Tell me one more question, then I'm going to get to some solutions here after the break. But tell me the connections between the left and those calling for revolution on the Arab streets and on American streets with Muslims.
Right. Well, the left basically, Glenn, they look at radical Islamists, and as you've pointed out, it doesn't seem like there's much in common on the surface. But the left says, you know what, we can sit back, we can empower these guys, we can use them as our muscle, as our foot soldiers. And at the end of the day,
just like they do with the unions.
Absolutely. We can use them, co-opt them as our foot soldiers. Let them build radical mosques that are teaching hatred. Let them spread an ideology that calls for the overthrow of the U.S. Constitution, for Sharia law to be instituted. Anything that causes chaos, disruption to Judeo-Christian Western civilization, we will support.
I think they both have one ideology that's very, very strong. They both like government control. Islam can only exist through the government enforcement, through Sharia law, which is it's a kind of religion that's imposed from the top to the bottom. It's not like Christianity, which comes from the bottom up. Christianity represents freedom, and that both the far left, and Islam they don't like religions that give freedom to man. They like control. They like the religion to be from the top to the bottom.
Which sounds awfully a lot like the left.
Yeah, and that's a great point Nani makes. Islam, and I've talked to radicals, Islamic radicals, who've told me, look, this is much more than a religion. This is an all-encompassing ideological system that dominates every single aspect of your life. And the left follows an all-encompassing ideological system. Leftism is their religion. There are some similarities here, absolutely.
The idea, I mentioned this earlier, the idea of social justice is huge in Islam.
It's one of the pillars.
It is, and that is the disease in the left. You know, the idea of social justice, of, hey, let's be good to each other, let's help each other, let's share, but not by force.
But is it really true what they really want is social justice? Sometimes I really doubt that. I think more their number one thing is control, more than social justice. Social justice comes next, which is, I really believe it's envy. It's a huge element of envy. They don't like to see the society with the private sector controlling the economy. They want the control of the economy to be in the hands of the government, in their hands. And that's the same thing with the Muslim world. The Muslim world love control through Sharia law and through the concept of jihad, which means it's a military institution. Jihad itself is defined in Islamic books as to war with non-Muslims to establish the religion, a permanent war institution against non-Muslim countries. That's the definition of jihad.
But you have all these people. You have all these people on the left that use political correctness to hide. And
Yes.
that's why you can't question Barack Obama. You're a
Yeah.
racist if you
Yeah.
question Barack Obama. So you can push almost anything through because no one will look for it.